Am I the a-hole for not wanting to change my name and asking Fiancé to change hers? Update. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to change my name and asking Fiancé to change hers? Am I the a-hole for not wanting my cousins that my fiancé could understand them when they were speaking about him in a different language? Am I the a-hole for not wanting to change my name and asking fiancé to change hers? I, 27 male, have been with my fiancé, 24 female, for 3.5 years. We are very happy together and I can't imagine my life without her. But we have had a hard time reconciling this disagreement, so I posted here at her suggestion. We have been talking more and more about marriage recently and what it would look like. For me, part of the significance of marriage is becoming family with each other, and that includes sharing our last name. When I think of being bonded with her in that way, I get really happy and excited, like we are a true pair and the whole world could recognize it. However, she wants to keep her last name as she says it is a hassle to have to change it. I think that's fine, but I'm the only guy on my side of the family who could carry my family name. I have two sisters who are married already, so it's literally just me left. It's a pretty unique name, not one like Johnson or Smith. So my family name would die out if I don't carry it and pass it on to our kids. Fiancé doesn't really care about matching our names and suggested I could change my name to hers so we match or otherwise just both keep our own last names after we marry. She has a brother, so her family name would be carried on either way. I feel like it's different for that reason and she should compromise with me and change her name. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to change my family name and asking her to change hers instead? Update. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to change my name and asking fiancé to change hers? Hello, my original post got so much more attention than I expected and I figured you all deserved an update. It was very rough for me to read literally thousands of messages calling me an a-hole. I even lost my cool a little bit. Shout out to the mods for not banning me for my tantrum even though it would have been fair. But my wife and I read every comment together and discussed things thoroughly. I had not considered the patriarchal historical angle of asking a woman to take a man's name and give up her own. It's just that something I've been exposed to much. It turns out this was there in the background for my wife and was bothering her. But she wasn't fully aware of it, much less how to explain it to me. So it wasn't just about the paperwork hassle of changing her name, she was also resisting because she felt weird about giving up her name. I had no idea that she felt that way and was glad some commenters gave her the language to actually talk about it with me. Part of our process in resolving this difference was to do 23andMe tests and build family trees. This ended up being really enjoyable and we both found out some great family stories and tidbits from relatives. I highly recommend for other couples to do this too. We both feel much more connected to our personal histories and therefore our last names now, and it was very moving for me to link our trees together and gave me that sense of romantic connectedness I was seeking through the names. The end result? We got married 2 weeks ago without a legal name change. In the future, we are thinking of hyphenating our names. Maybe. Neither of us are pressed to do it immediately as we are basking in the newness of our marriage. Our kids will also have hyphenated names too if we are blessed with some. I am thrilled to be married to the love of my life even if we are not a matching Mr. and Mrs. for now. I would still like to be someday, but if we do, then the hassle of changing our names will be something we suffer through together instead of an unequal burden. Most of all, this experience has massively changed the way my wife and I approach our differences or conflicts together. We work through things slowly, gently, and without assumptions until we understand each other, and that has been the best thing to come out of this experience. So although I didn't expect to say it, thank you to everyone who called me an a-hole for a few months ago. My wife thanks you too. Am I the a-hole for not wanting my cousins that my fiancé could understand them when they were speaking about him in a different language? My fiancé comes from a very mixed background and speaks a lot of languages. His great-grandmother comes from the same country as my grandparents, so he speaks Urdu too. A lot of people assume he's just white, though, and just looking at him, you wouldn't guess he has Pakistani ancestry. Three of my cousins met him for the very first time on Saturday. In front of him, they switched to Urdu and were asking me questions about him, including where did I find this hot white man. I told them to stop and they did and switched back to English. My mom called me to help her set the table for dinner, so I left them alone with my fiancé. While I was gone, they switched back to Urdu and were making inappropriate comments about my fiancé. He said he found it funny, and when they were wondering if they should ask me if the white man was good in bed, he told them I wouldn't know yet in Urdu and they freaked out. They ended up leaving before dinner because they were so mortified, and then today, they called me to yell at me for not telling them and claimed they were only joking around and never would have said any of those things if they knew he understood. I did apologize to my fiancé but still blame me for not warning them since they had no way of knowing he would understand them, and I knew they liked to make dumb jokes. Am I the a-hole?